everyone, and welcome back to the sixth episode of the Democracy Fight Club. If you did not already, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter and Instagram for more updates. I'm Vedrana Vujovic, and I will be your host for today. Note to our new listeners, Democracy Fight Club is a place to you to tune in and listen from across the globe, youth from across the globe talking about their countries, about their work to champion the democratic values, and about what all of us can do to make this world a better place. After a great episode from the last time, we are moving from Zimbabwe to Malawi, and I'm happy to welcome a true young leader, democratic champion, and a civil activist, Chimwemwe Kaonga. Welcome, Chimwemwe, and thanks for being here with us.
Thank you so much, Vedrana. I'm excited to be part of the program.
Uh, Same here. We kick off each episode with asking our guests to give us three words that best describe their countries. So, for our listeners across the world, what are three words that best describe Malawi?
Well, I think Malawi is peaceful, Malawi is hospitable, and of course, Malawi uh, is heading to prosperity.
Yeah, same here in Bosnia, maybe.
Yeah.
During our preparation conversation, you highlighted that your focus a lot in your work is on motivating and encouraging young people to take active roles in society through good governance and democracy programs. One of the things you are trying to do is to motivate them to vote. Why do you think it's important? Why do you think that voting is important, and how do you do it?
Well, I think it's important for young people to be motivated to vote because voting is what decides our destiny. Voting is what decides our future. And as young people, it's important that they are motivated to vote because they need to take part to decide their destiny. Um, According to my experience, I know that it's challenging to, for instance, motivate young people to vote because in my country where I live or where I come from, there are a lot of challenges that young people are facing. And year in, year out, regimes come in, regimes go, but it seems like there is no any change to their lives. So in the end, it becomes challenging to motivate a young person to go and vote because they say even if I don't vote, nothing will change. Whether I vote, whether I don't vote, everything will remain the same. I will remain unemployed. There is still nepotism, there is still corruption. So, I mean, why should I vote? So it really becomes challenging. But as a young person who has also run campaign, for example, the 5x5 campaign of mobilizing young people to vote, we have been through to the communities, to schools, to faith institutions to mobilize young people to register and vote. Because we know that if the majority of young people can take place in can take part in voting, it means they are also defining their future. They are defining education standards, access to education. They are defining access to employment. They are defining access to health services. So it's really important that young people do take part in the voting process.
Yeah, definitely. This is something that we can relate with because we're working on a Get Out the Vote campaign in Bosnia for the previous elections, for local elections in November and December last year. But you also
Yes.
mentioned adapting the new normal and working with youth digitally during pandemic. What were the main challenges for you in the from the past year?
Well, I think as Malawi, I should also mention that it was one of the countries that has been awarded as one of the countries that promoted democracy amid this pandemic. You know that we had elections last year when we were at the peak of the COVID-19 crisis. But I think despite the COVID-19 challenges, as a country, we are not distracted to promote our democratic values and principles. We still went on to go and vote. I know the issue of COVID-19 at times is what is promoting autocracy, is promoting dictatorships in many countries. Actually, even in Malawi, I think the ruling party then was trying to push forward elections because the reason was that, you know, we are in the midst of the pandemic and it would not be healthy that we go to the polls. But people marched on the streets, people protested, political parties went to the court, and there's a famous judgment where the courts annulled the previous elections, and they indeed directed that we need to go to the polls as a country because there were irregularities in the previous election. So we saw democracy winning, much as we know that as a country we are not at that level at par with issues of technology. So ours, still more used our local ways of voting, which still more worked amidst the crisis by, among other things, just ensuring that people are able to follow the preventive measures and still exercise their right to vote and promote democracy.
What do you think? Because I'm Bachelor of Communicology and I believe in this digital and media space for young people, for youth across the globe, especially in Bosnia. And how is it working, this digital democracy for youth in Malawi? How do they respond to that?
Well, for young people in Malawi, mostly we're using the basic technologies. For instance, in terms of mobilization of young people, like the use of social media. Social
Yeah.
media played a critical role to mobilize young people, to send messages, to inform young people, to mobilize young people, for instance, to register and vote. For instance, to to turn up in large numbers and vote. For instance, to share manifestos, like manifestos were being shared in platforms like WhatsApp groups, like on Facebook. So, you know, in a way, it also promoted, it acted as a campaign tool in actually mobilizing people to vote for themselves. And even the campaigns that we are running, the hashtags that we are using, it was basically because of social media. It was basically because of technologies that most young people we were able to reach out to them with messages on various issues, including how to vote or who to choose in line with their ideas.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's very important to use the social media in that context, in that direction, to be more personal with the youth and also with the many campaigns, especially when it comes about elections and spreading these democratic right and democratic value. But also another characteristic things for Malawi is also something that we have here in Bosnia and also in the Balkans is young people leaving their countries. So in our case, it's to the Western Europe, but in your case, it's mostly to South Africa. Why are
Yes.
young people leaving Malawi?
Well, in Malawi, there are high levels of unemployment. Of course, currently our unemployment rate for amongst young people stands at 23%. So we have got most young people who do not have jobs, or they are underemployed. They're either unemployed or underemployed. So, and also, even if you look at the skills that we have, it's only 9% of young people who have accessed post-secondary education in Malawi. So it means that most young people do not have skills even to compete on the formal job market. So all these reasons are culminating into most young people, for instance, leaving Malawi to travel to countries like South Africa in order to access greener pastures. But also, we haven't gone far with issues of skills development in Malawi. Most young people, 90% of the youth populations are not skilled in vocational skills and other professional skills that can make them withstand the pressure of unemployment at the local level. So all these reasons are forcing young people to migrate to South Africa to to find jobs and earn a living so that they are able to survive with their livelihoods.
When they get some kind of experience, professional experience, are they coming back to Malawi or they are staying in South Africa?
Well, in most cases, as they migrate to South Africa, the primary reason is not for them maybe to get skills development or professional skills in order for them to compete on the job market. In most cases, these young people are going to South Africa just to get casual labor. So you will understand that when they are there, they are able to get the little money that they are able to get. They just keep it and maybe some of the money to send back home as a way of investment so that after some time, maybe a period of time, they can go back home and maybe start a life, start smaller scale businesses. So basically that's what's happening, but over time we have realized it's not most young people that are able to come back home maybe to find something to do. Most of the people are still hanging around in South Africa. It's only maybe during this period of COVID-19 when we are seeing that the majority of them are coming back home because maybe the economy can no longer support them. They need to come back home and find other means of survival. But the majority are still stuck in South Africa.
Yeah, pandemic did this also here so much kind of trouble, but I think that it's really important for societies like Bosnia and also Malawi to create space that young people who leave our countries that wants to come back maybe in a year, two, or maybe 10, 20 years, just because their home is here actually. They have their main mother countries. And I think that it's really important to adopt the skills outside, maybe Bosnia, maybe Malawi, but to come back home to improve their society. It's really important to create that space, that society. It's very important from the local level and also from the state level. And I really hope that the youth situation with the brain drain and definitely with immigration will be better in
Mhm,
maybe next few years, and we all must work on that to create that better space for all of us.
mhm,
So, as young people, we have to mention our role in the world, especially because you, Chimwemwe, are also member of the Global Advisory Board with me in Generation Democracy. How can
mhm.
we fight for democracy? And what would you be maybe one advice for our youth, and our young listeners?
Mhm. Well, to the young people, I would say we must fight for our position. We must fight for the spaces. The spaces are there, but no one will be able to give them to us if we fold our hands. All these political leaders, the senior political leaders, are not willing to give power to the young people, and they will not give power to the young people. We need to take it. How do we do that? We need to find mentors. We must be willing to learn, and we must be willing to take bold steps so that we claim our spaces on the table. Um, Nothing will change for us if we wait that maybe someone out there will fight for us. But we need to get united. If it means joining politics, the good thing is that young people are in majority in most countries. There is that demographic burgeoning of young people. And if we can agree to say, let us send young people to parliament, let us send young people to the local councils, let us send young people to state house, it is possible. For instance, in Malawi here, those that registered in the previous elections, 54% were young people. So for instance, we agreed to say, let us unite and let us send our fellow young people to make decisions that will be for the benefit of young people. It is doable and it is possible. So we should stop looking down on ourselves, and we should be able to make bold decisions. We should be able to be patriotic enough to involve ourselves in politics, to involve ourselves in civic life, so that together we will be able to make decisions that will be in our favor and that will favor our future.
Yeah, you mentioned fight. We are also we here in Democracy Fight Club has we have only one rule that's always speaks about it. So I think that it's very important to speak about democracy, speak about and do that kind of democracy values in our societies, and be some kind of role to another young people in our communities, in our societies, and also in the world. Thank you, Chim, very much. It was a pleasure having you as our guest, and you are
Mhm.
officially welcome to our Democracy Fight Club.
Thank you.
So thanks everyone for listening. Thanks Generation Democracy, LP, IRI for supporting, and make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel because we are having more upcoming interesting episodes.